All right, so we're diving deep today.
Yeah, into Harry's second year at Hogwarts.
A lot going on.
A lot going on.
A lot of material here.
We've got a really fascinating collection to work with. Personal notes, some really intense passages, and even, I think, what looks like some official Hogwarts communication.
Right, right.
So our mission, if you will, is to really unpack this year for Harry.
Absolutely.
What were the big events? What were the big mysteries? What does it all mean as the year unfolds?
It's interesting because even before we get to Hogwarts,
Right.
We're really set up for a year of unease and anticipation.
Yeah.
And, you've highlighted the summer with the Dursleys.
Oh, dreadful.
And this is not just your average family tension.
Right. No, it's really showing this fundamental divide between his magical existence and their very non-magical one.
Absolutely.
It's just so stark.
Mm-hmm.
And, Hedwig, the owl, trapped in her cage.
Right.
It's this powerful symbol of Harry being isolated from the wizarding world.
And it's interesting, too, the physical descriptions you get of the Dursleys.
Oh, yeah.
Large and, just sort of unremarkable.
Right.
And then this small, slight Harry with these bright green eyes.
All right.
And, of course, that scar.
Sugar, yeah.
This lightning bolt scar. Everyone knows him for it.
Everybody knows.
And even his desire to connect with someone is kind of unusual.
Yeah.
Like almost a desire to see Malfoy, his rival.
Right.
It's fascinating. And then there's that lingering impact of his encounter with Voldemort.
Of course.
These nightmares that keep coming back.
Right, and it shows the psychological burden
Yeah.
that he carries.
Yeah.
That his muggle family just can't even
Right.
comprehend. They
Yes.
can't help.
And then this incident with Gudley.
Yes.
Which leads to all these chores
Yes.
in the hot sun, just grueling chores.
Yeah, it really emphasizes his helplessness.
Yeah, absolutely helping.
In that environment.
Right, and then, this is all happening while they're getting ready for the Masons to come for dinner.
Big event.
This huge event.
For them.
So you can feel the Dursleys getting more and more anxious.
Oh, they're just terrified.
That Harry's going to somehow reveal magic.
Yeah.
It's just this pressure cooker of tension.
It is.
And as if things couldn't get any stranger in this dreadful suburban house.
I know.
We have the appearance of Dobby. Dobby's house elf.
Right.
A strange little creature with these huge eyes like tennis balls.
Yeah.
And his big announcement, Harry must not go back to Hogwarts.
Right.
Terrible dangers await.
See it. Yes.
But it's all shrouded in mystery, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Like how genuine is Dobby?
Right.
And later we find out more about house elf servitude, right?
Yeah.
Could there be other things motivating Dobby?
Right. That's a good question to consider.
Consider.
Dobby's clearly frightened.
Right.
I mean, he's frantic. He punishes himself.
Right, yeah.
So there's genuine fear there.
Yeah.
But the lack of specific details
Right.
leaves us all kind of wondering what's really going on.
Right.
What's also really important here is that Dobby admits to intercepting Harry's letters, which shows that the Ministry, they are keeping an eye on magic, even within wizarding families.
Right.
You break the law, there are consequences.
Right, although the Weasleys don't seem too worried about that in this case.
Not in this case, no.
Because Dobby's preventing Harry from getting those letters.
From his friends.
From Ron, Hermione, Hagrid.
Trying to make him think they've forgotten him.
Yes, exactly.
In a desperate measure.
It is, it is.
To protect Harry.
Yeah.
But it backfires, doesn't it?
But it's coming from this good place.
Well, he thinks he's helping.
He thinks he's protecting Harry.
But it's misguided.
It is.
Isn't it?
It is, and it's causing Harry a lot of distress.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about, what is help? What is protection?
Right.
Dobby thinks he knows what's best.
Right, and he's doing all this,
Yeah.
but really isolating Harry.
Yeah, and deceiving him.
Lying to him.
It's a theme, I think, that we're going to see. Again, this well-intentioned but harmful interference.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that.
But thankfully for Harry, Dobby's plan gets a little sidetracked.
Yes, it does.
With the arrival of the Flying Ford Anglia.
The flying car.
Ron, Fred, and George Weasley.
In their dad's car.
Swooping in to save the day.
To rescue Harry.
It's like something out of, the fantastical adventure.
It is. It is.
Taking off the bars from Harry's window.
Right out of his bedroom window.
And barely escaping.
I know.
Uncle Vernon.
It's just a close call.
Yeah. You really see their loyalty.
Oh, yeah.
And the Weasleys, their approach to problem solving.
A bit unconventional.
They're not exactly playing
No,
by the rule.
not really.
And a letter from the ministry.
About underage magic.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Uncle Vernon was furious.
Oh, he was livid. But the Weasleys don't let little things like that
Rules, regulations.
stop them.
No.
And so Harry gets to the Burrow.
The Burrow, yeah.
And what a change.
Huge change.
From the Dursleys with their cold disapproval
Right.
to the Weasleys with their chaotic warmth.
Yeah, and it's more than just a change of house. It's the
Yeah.
difference between no magic
Right.
and a life full of magic.
Right.
And you can see how it affects Harry.
You can. He visibly relaxes there.
The power of acceptance
Absolutely.
is wonderful, and the Burrow is just this vibrant place.
It is, yeah.
A bit messy, I'll grant you.
It is. It is.
Welcoming.
So welcoming.
Yeah.
And he meets Arthur and Molly Weasley
Of course.
and Ginny, who's very shy
So shy.
around Harry.
Yeah.
And you see Harry stepping into this real family.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And we learn a bit about Arthur Weasley's job.
At the ministry.
Right. Misuse of Muggle artifacts office.
I think we'll hear more about that.
I have a feeling. Yeah. And then Molly's reaction to the unauthorized flight.
Classic Molly.
Oh, she's so worried.
So worried.
But she expresses it with, a lot of shouting.
A lot of shouting.
But you really see the danger
Oh, it was dangerous.
in what they did.
Flying that car,
Yeah.
however well-intentioned.
Well-intentioned, right?
What?
But then there's all the, strange, unique things about the Burrow.
Yeah.
Gnomes in the garden.
Gnomes in the garden. A ghoul in the attic.
Right. This is Harry's first time in a real wizarding home,
It is, yeah.
with all its quirks.
And then you start to see the family dynamics.
Yes.
You've got Fred and George.
The twins.
The twins, so mischievous.
Always up to something.
And then Percy,
So serious.
the prefect, always responsible, always following the rules.
Yeah.
And Ron's room,
All orange.
all orange.
Chudley cannons everywhere.
Oh, Chudley cannons, yeah.
Quidditch.
And the Martin Miggs comics.
Mad Muggle.
It really tells you a lot about Ron. Yeah. And then there's that moment when Harry overhears the Weasleys talking about money,
Yes.
about school supplies.
And Ginny starting Hogwarts?
It's expensive,
It is expensive.
especially with so many kids.
Yeah, and it's just a reminder that
Yeah.
even wizards,
Have to worry about money.
yeah, they've got their everyday struggles.
And unreliable owls.
Yes. Errol finally brings Hermione's letter.
Finally.
It's a little moment of reconnection
Yeah. It's
with his friends.
normalcy.
Yeah,
That's
as normal as things get for them.
For them, right.
So then they need to get to Diagon Alley,
All right.
and they decide to use flu powder.
Oh.
Flu powder. And, Harry's not familiar
Not really.
with wizarding travel.
Not yet.
And, well, he mispronounces Diagon Alley
Oh.
and ends up taking a little detour
A wrong turn.
to Nocturne Alley.
Nocturne Alley, yeah.
Not a great place to be,
Not really.
especially not for Harry.
No.
It's like going from light to dark. And then, of course, he ends up in Borgin and Burke's,
Borgin and Burke's.
which is just full of dark stuff.
Dark artifacts.
Yeah.
Not a good place for a young wizard.
No. And he overhears this conversation.
Oh.
Lucius and Draco Malfoy?
With Mr. Borgin himself.
Yeah. And they're talking about Harry and Voldemort.
Not good.
And the whole shop is just creepy.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's a huge contrast to Diagon Alley.
Yeah.
And who finds him there?
Hagrid.
Hagrid of all people.
Of all people.
And he's scolding Harry
You shouldn't be here.
for being in Nocturne Alley.
Which is kind of funny.
It is a bit funny.
Because he's there looking for flesh-eating slug repellent.
For the school cabbages.
For the cabbages.
It's one of those moments where it's just
Yeah.
sort of lighthearted
Yeah.
in the midst of all this potential darkness.
Well, Hagrid's worried
He is worried.
about Harry.
Yeah, it is dangerous there.
Very dangerous.
But finally, he's reunited with the Weasleys
And Hermione.
and Hermione. And it's like a breath of fresh air.
Back to Diagon Alley.
Right back to Diagon Alley.
It's reassuring.
It is. Things feel a little bit more normal.
Well, as normal as it gets.
And normal as it gets for them.
Exactly.
And then they go to Gringotts,
Gringotts, yeah.
the Wizarding Bank.
A wizarding bank.
And you see the contrast again
I
between
was-
Weasley's vault,
Modest.
very modest,
Yeah.
and Harry's vault.
Full of gold
It's just a reminder.
of their different backgrounds.
Yeah. And then Harry meets Hermione's parents,
The Grangers.
the Grangers, and Mr. Weasley is just fascinated by Muggle money.
So curious about muggles.
He's so curious about the Muggle world.
Yeah.
It's always funny to see those two worlds interact.
And it shows you that Arthur really wants to understand muggles.
He does. He does.
Even if he gets things a little wrong.
He does. He does.
Sometimes.
But it's coming from a good place.
Absolutely. He just wants to learn.
And then, of course, there's Flourish and blots.
For books.
For books. Harry and Ginny need books.
Of course.
But of course, it's not just a simple trip to buy books.
No.
Because there's Gilderoy Lockhart.
Gilderoy Lockhart.
The new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
Right.
Making his grand entrance.
Yeah.
He's so into himself.
You're so vain.
Promoting his autobiography.
Oh, yes.
And that photo op with Harry.
Deej.
You can feel Harry's discomfort.
So awkward.
And then things take a turn.
With Lucius and Arthur.
Right. Arthur Weasley and Lucius Malfoy.
Their views are just so different.
They are.
About blood purity.
They have this confrontation.
Hey.
It starts as just words.
Yeah.
But it gets physical.
Right there in the shop.
Right there in Flourish and Blots.
With the Grangers watching.
And it really shows
yeah.
this prejudice in the wizarding world.
Yeah, and it makes you think about what's going to happen this year.
Right, like this blood purity thing, it's going to be important.
Very important.
So then they have to get back to Hogwarts.
Right, back to school.
And they cram everyone and everything.
Into the Fort Anglia.
Into this enchanted Fort Anglia.
At least he's been busy.
He's been tinkering with it.
Yeah.
But they're late getting to King's Cross.
Oh, no.
And they can't get through the barrier.
To platform 9 3/4.
They panic a little bit.
Well, yeah.
And make a rash decision.
What did they do?
They fly the car to Hogwarts.
Fly the car.
They fly the car.
I can't believe it.
And it's exciting at first.
I bet.
But then things get dangerous.
How so?
The car runs out of magic. And they crash into the Whomping Willow.
The Whomping Willow.
Their stuff goes flying.
Poor Hedwig.
I know, poor Hedwig.
What a mess.
It is a mess.
And so they get to Hogwarts.
A bit worse for wear.
Disheveled.
Yeah.
And who do they run into?
Snape.
Of course.
And he's not happy.
Not happy at all.
He wants to expel them.
Expel them.
He takes them to his office.
And they have to wait for Professor McGonagall.
You can just feel their anxiety building.
Oh, yeah.
Then they're brought before Professor Dumbledore.
And Professor McGonagall.
And Dumbledore is clearly disappointed.
You're very disappointed.
But he doesn't expel them.
No.
He gives them detention.
Detention.
And Professor McGonagall, she doesn't take any points.
From Gryffindor.
So they're getting off easy.
Relatively easy.
And it's interesting, Dumbledore, he doesn't condone what they did.
No.
But he seems to understand why they did it.
He's wise like that.
He is. He really sees the bigger picture.
And then they get back to the Gryffindor common room.
Yes.
After almost being expelled.
And their housemates.
They're like heroes.
They're so impressed.
With their dramatic arrival.
With their grand entrance.
Of course, Percy disapproves.
Of course Percy disapproves.
And Hermione, too.
She's not happy with them.
Not impressed.
But everyone else is celebrating.
They're thrilled.
It's just so interesting to see how differently everyone reacts.
It's like a microcosm of the conflicts they're going to face.
Yeah, throughout the year.
And then term starts.
Term starts.
And Gilderoy Lockhart.
He's the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
And he's just...
Oh, he's so vain.
So obsessed with fame.
He even tries to take credit.
For Harry's fame.
You know?
It's almost funny if it weren't so dangerous.
Right, he's supposed to be teaching them.
About dangerous magic.
About how to defend themselves.
And he has no idea what he's doing.
You see that in herbology class?
With Professor Sprout?
They're repotting mandrakes.
Those cries.
So dangerous.
So dangerous.
And Lockhart tries to teach them about Cornish pixies.
Tries to teach them.
He lets them loose in the classroom.
It's chaos.
Complete chaos.
Lockhart is incompetent.
And he keeps trying to use Harry.
For his own fame.
He even implies that Harry's copying him.
Copying him.
And then you have Colin Creevey.
Colin Creevey.
This first year.
So enthusiastic.
He's constantly following Harry around.
Taking pictures.
It's got to be so overwhelming for Harry.
It would be for anybody.
He can't escape the spotlight.
Even at Quidditch practice.
Right.
With Oliver Wood.
Yeah, he runs those tough practices.
And then Ron.
Oh, poor Ron.
He throws up slugs.
He vomits slugs.
Of course, Colin's there.
Camera in hand.
To capture the moment.
And Hagrid mentioned something interesting.
What's that?
He says he saw Ginny near his hut.
Interesting.
It seems like a small detail.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it will be important later.
Could be.
And then Harry has detention with Lockhart.
Detention.
And he has to answer fan mail.
And mail.
But while he's doing that, he hears this voice.
A voice.
It's like a disembodied voice.
Strange.
Lockhart doesn't hear it.
That is strange.
It's really creepy.
And then Ron hears it too.
In the common room.
So it's not Harry's imagination?
Definitely not.
This voice is going to be important?
I think so too.
And then October comes?
October.
It's cold.
And damp.
The castle's chilly.
Ginny's not feeling well.
Pepper-up potion.
Yeah, and the rain
So much rain.
makes the lake rise.
Yeah, and Hagrid's pumpkins.
They're huge.
So swollen.
And Harry runs into nearly headless Nick.
A nearly headless Nick.
Who's upset?
Why is he upset?
Because he wasn't accepted into the headless hunt.
The headless hunts.
Even ghosts have their social dramas.
They do.
Then they go to nearly headless Nick's death day party.
Oh, a party.
It's pretty gloomy.
I bet.
But then,
Yeah.
after the party,
Harry hears the voice.
Harry hears the voice again.
Oh.
And then a scream.
Scream, what happened?
They find Mrs. Norris
Filch's cat.
petrified.
Petrified.
And there's this message on the wall.
What does it say?
The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the air, beware.
That's not good.
No, it's terrifying.
It is. It is.
And everyone's scared.
Who can be?
Filch is beside himself.
I bet.
He accuses Harry.
Of petrifying his cat.
He brings up that quick spell correspondence course.
Oh, yeah.
The one that implies Filch is a squib.
He's really upset.
And Dumbledore, he says,
What does he say?
no second year could have done that kind of magic.
That's powerful magic.
Yeah, dark magic.
And Snape.
Oh,
He's suspicious.
he's always suspicious of Harry.
always.
And you see how Filch, he's so quick to accuse Harry.
Yeah.
And it's because of his own insecurities.
About being a squib.
It just shows how prejudice can make people jump to conclusions.
It's dangerous.
But Dumbledore, he's saying this is something bigger.
More complicated.
Yeah, more complicated.
And then it looks.
And Hermione, she wants answers.
Of course she does.
So she convinces Professor Binns
The history of magic teacher.
to tell them about the Chamber of Secrets.
The Chamber of Secrets.
And he tells them this old legend
Legend.
about Salazar Slytherin.
One of the founders of Hogwarts.
He built this secret chamber
A hidden chamber.
and sealed it until his heir returned.
And the heir would unleash a monster
To get rid of
for students
who aren't
to
worthy.
study magic.
It's like a dark fairy tale.
It
And then Harry remembers
remembers what?
the Sorting Hat almost put him in Slytherin,
Slytherin.
and he can speak Parseltongue,
The language of snakes.
which was Salazar Slytherin's thing.
Not a good sign.
And so a lot of people start to think,
That Harry might be the heir.
but Ron,
Good old Ron.
he defends Harry.
Boy.
He even suggests
Yeah.
that Malfoy's more likely.
Be the heir.
It's Harry's Parseltongue.
Right.
It's associated with dark wizards,
And Salazar Slytherin.
so people are scared of him.
And it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
do our abilities
Yeah.
make us who we are?
It's something Dumbledore talks about later.
Yeah.
So to investigate Malfoy,
Yeah.
Harry, Ron, and Hermione,
They come up with a plan.
they decide to brew Polyjuice Potion,
Polyjuice potion.
which lets them turn into other people.
For a little while.
But they need a recipe.
Which is in the restricted section of the library.
A very dangerous place.
Very dangerous.
They need a teacher to sign for it.
Not easy.
No, but Hermione
Clever Hermione.
is resourceful.
She figures something out.
She always does.
And then Lockhart decides to have a dueling club.
A dueling club.
Snape shows them some spells.
Disarming spells.
Which is actually useful.
Yeah, maybe the only useful thing Lockhart does.
Maybe.
But then Harry and Malfoy, they duel. Malfoy conjures a snake,
Snake.
and Harry instinctively,
Speaks parcel tongue.
he tells the snake not to attack Justin Finch of Fletchley.
And everyone thinks
Oh, they're convinced.
Harry's the heir.
And Ernie Macmillan, he actually announces it.
To everyone.
That he thinks Harry's the heir.
It's awful for Harry.
He can't catch a break.
You know, Harry didn't want to do parcel tongue.
No.
But he had to protect Justin.
He did.
But it just makes people more scared of him.
It does. It really does.
And then things get even worse.
What happens?
Colin Creevey's attacked.
No.
Petrified.
And then Hagrid,
You're arrested.
he's arrested.
Arrested.
Taken to Azkaban.
Azkaban, that's awful.
They think he opened the Chamber of Secrets 50 years ago,
What?
based on what Tom Riddle said.
That memory.
And Lucius Malfoy's there.
When they arrest Hagrid.
Yeah, he seems pleased with himself.
Uh-oh.
Dumbledore tells Harry that he doesn't believe,
That Harry opened the chamber?
but it's still bad.
Really bad.
Hagrid's in prison.
And don't forget, Hagrid mentioned that second rooster
Right.
being killed
And he needed permission for a charm on the hen coop.
right before Colin was attacked.
That's got to be important.
I think so, too.
So Christmas comes,
Christmas at Hogwarts.
and even though everyone's scared,
Yeah.
the school stays open.
And Harry gets presents from his friends.
Ron gives him a book about flying.
Nice.
Hermione gives him a quill and a big box of chocolates.
Thoughtful.
And Mrs. Weasley, she sends a hand-knitted sweater
Oh, how sweet.
and a plum cake.
Delicious.
But it makes Harry feel bad.
About breaking the
He
rules.
feels guilty.
And meanwhile, they're still working on that Polyjuice potion.
They are in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom.
In secret.
Hermione. She gets Millicent Bulstrode's hair.
From their duel.
And
Harry and Ron.
yeah.
They get hairs from Crabbe and Goyle.
They're really going for it.
This is a complicated potion.
It is.
Lots of ingredients.
Yeah.
Difficult to brew.
Yeah, it just shows you how far they're willing to go.
To find out the truth.
But it's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Especially since they're breaking the rules.
To get the ingredients.
And then they actually transform.
They do.
They do. Harry and Ron turn into Crabbe and Goyle.
Wow.
And they get into the Slytherin common room. They question Malfoy.
And what does he say?
Well, his dad wants to get rid of all the Muggle-born students.
Oh, no.
And he told Malfoy not to get involved.
Somewhere.
And he mentions that the Ministry raided their house.
Interesting.
But then the potion wears off.
After an hour.
Yeah, so they have to hurry.
And Hermione? Oh, she used the wrong hair.
Cat hair.
Cat hair.
She turns into a cat-human hybrid.
A cat-human hybrid.
It's not pretty.
I bet.
But thankfully temporary.
Thank goodness.
And then Harry finds this diary.
The diary.